There is a $13 billion industry built on a lie you believe every single day. They sell you morning routines, productivity apps, vision boards, journals with prompts designed to unlock your potential. And every time you buy, every time you consume, every time you scroll through another video promising the secret to discipline, you are making them rich while making yourself weaker. Here is what the motivation industry will never tell you. Because if they did, you would stop buying. The feeling you are chasing does not come before action. It comes after, or it does not come at all. Either way, it is irrelevant. The most successful people on this planet do not feel motivated. They feel the same resistance you feel, the same dread, the same voice whispering that the bed is warm and the world is cold, and maybe 5 more minutes would not hurt. The difference is they have stopped waiting for the voice to change its mind. You have been playing a rigged game, and for the next 90 minutes, I am going to show you the game that actually works. Stanford University researchers discovered something disturbing in a 20-year longitudinal study. They found that people who relied on feeling motivated before taking action accomplished 63% less than those who acted regardless of how they felt. 63% of your potential gone. Not because you lacked talent, not because you lacked opportunity, because you were waiting to feel ready. Let that sink in. You have been sold a story. The story says that successful people wake up energized, passionate, and excited to attack the day. The story says that when you find your purpose, motivation will fuel you like an endless tank of gas. The story is a lie, and the people telling you this story, they do not use motivation themselves. Here is the truth that elite performers know. Motivation is a visitor. It shows up uninvited, stays for a moment, and leaves without warning. You cannot schedule it. You cannot summon it. And you certainly cannot build a life waiting for it. If you try, you will build nothing at all. Think about the last time you felt genuinely motivated. Maybe it was after watching an inspiring video. Maybe it was New Year's Eve. Maybe it was after a conversation that lit a fire in your chest. How long did that feeling last? A day? An hour? 20 minutes before your phone distracted you? This is not a character flaw. This is biology. Your brain is designed to conserve energy. Every time you face a difficult task, your limbic system, the ancient part of your brain responsible for survival, sends a signal. This is hard. This is uncomfortable. This is uncertain. Do not do it. That signal feels like a lack of motivation. In reality, it is simply your brain doing what brains have done for 200,000 years, protecting you from perceived threat. But here is what the limbic system does not understand. In the modern world, discomfort is not danger. Uncertainty is not death. The things that feel threatening, the hard conversation, the early morning workout, the project you have been avoiding, these are not predators. They are opportunities. And every time you wait for motivation to override that ancient warning system, you lose. Harvard Business School conducted a fascinating experiment with 400 executives. They divided them into 2 groups. The first group was taught motivation techniques, visualization exercises, and positive affirmations. The second group was taught a single skill, how to act before the brain has time to negotiate. 6 months later, the results were not even close. The first group showed a 12% improvement in productivity. The second group showed an 89% improvement. Not because they were smarter, not because they were more talented, because they learned to bypass the trap that catches everyone else. That trap has a name. Psychologists call it the action feeling gap. Most people believe the sequence goes like this: feel motivated, then take action, then get results. This is backwards. The actual sequence, confirmed by decades of cognitive behavioral research, works in reverse. Take action, then feel motivated, then get results. Motion creates emotion, not the other way around. You do not find energy to exercise. You exercise to find energy. You do not wait until you feel confident to speak up. You speak up until confidence finds you. You do not delay until you feel ready. You act until readiness becomes irrelevant. This is not motivational advice. This is mechanical truth. And in the next 9 chapters, you are going to learn exactly how to weaponize this truth. You will learn the 5-second protocol that short-circuits your brain's resistance. You will learn why the first decision you make each morning determines whether you win or lose the entire day. You will learn how to cast votes for your future self while everyone else is casting votes for their comfort. But first, you need to understand something critical. Everything you are about to hear will challenge what you believe. It will make you uncomfortable. Your brain will try to reject it because accepting it means accepting responsibility. It means admitting that the reason you have not achieved what you want is not bad luck, not bad timing, not a lack of motivation. It is you. It has always been you. The elite performers you admire, they feel the same resistance you do. They face the same fear. They have the same brain chemistry begging them to stay comfortable. The difference is not in how they feel. The difference is in what they do next. And that difference will determine everything. So here is your first choice. You can stop right now. You can tell yourself you already know this. You can go back to collecting quotes and waiting for Monday. Or you can stay. You can let these ideas penetrate. You can accept that the game you have been playing was rigged from the start and learn the game that actually works. The average person will click away in the next 30 seconds. They will tell themselves they will come back later. They never do. But you are not average. You are still here. And that single decision, the decision to keep listening instead of clicking away, just cast your first vote. Let me tell you what separates those who transform from those who stay stuck forever. Average performers consume content about success. They watch videos. They read books. They collect strategies like trading cards, never playing the game. Elite performers implement one strategy completely before consuming another. They understand that execution beats information. That doing beats knowing. That action is the only currency that purchases change. You have more than enough information already. You probably knew most of what I just told you. Not intellectually new, but you had not felt it this way. You had not let it penetrate. Information without implementation is entertainment. And entertainment does not change lives. Here is your first practical assignment, and I do not use that word lightly. Tonight, before you sleep, you will set your alarm for the time you actually want to wake up. Not the time you think you should wake up. The time you want to wake up to become the person you want to become. Then you will place that alarm across the room, far enough that you must stand to turn it off. When it rings tomorrow, you will count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you will move before your brain has time to negotiate. That single action tomorrow morning will teach you more about execution than this entire chapter, because you will feel the resistance. You will feel the pull of comfort, and you will overcome it. Not because you felt motivated, because you decided. The question is, what will you vote for next? Because in Chapter 2, we are going to destroy the most dangerous myth about success, the myth of readiness. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Chapter 2, the Readiness Trap. Here is a number that should terrify you, 47. That is the average age when people finally start pursuing what they actually want. 47 years old. Decades of waiting. Decades of preparation. Decades of telling themselves they are almost ready. What happened to all that time? The readiness trap happened. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that preparation precedes action, that you should wait until you have more experience, more money, more knowledge, more confidence. You were taught that the successful people around you were ready when they started. They were not. Every founder you admire started terrified. Every athlete you respect started clumsy. Every leader you follow started uncertain. The difference is they started anyway. MIT researchers tracked 2,000 entrepreneurs over a 15-year period. They wanted to identify what separated those who built successful companies from those who never launched at all. The results defied conventional wisdom. The founders who succeeded were not more prepared. They were not smarter. They did not have better business plans or more funding. The single greatest predictor of success was how quickly they moved from idea to action. The faster someone started, the higher their probability of success. Not because starting early gave them an advantage, because starting early meant they learned faster. They failed faster. They iterated faster. While their competition was perfecting pitch decks, they were collecting data. Your brain uses readiness as a shield. This is important to understand. When you tell yourself you are not ready, it feels like wisdom. It feels responsible. It feels like you are being strategic rather than reckless. But that feeling is a disguise. Behind the disguise is fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of discovering that you might not be as capable as you hoped. Readiness is fear wearing a suit and tie. And your brain has become an expert at making fear look productive. Let me give you a test. Think of something you have been putting off. Something important. Something you know would change your life if you actually did it. Now ask yourself, what exactly are you waiting for? More time? More money? More certainty? Here is the brutal truth. Those things are not coming. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be enough time. There will never be complete certainty. The conditions you are waiting for do not exist. They never did. Average performers wait for permission. Elite performers give themselves permission and deal with the consequences. Consider what happens when you wait. Every day you delay, the task becomes heavier. This is not perception. This is neurological reality. Psychologist Timothy Weil discovered that avoiding a task creates a phenomenon he calls task aversion accumulation. Each time you postpone something, your brain attaches more negative emotion to it. The thing you are avoiding literally becomes harder to do with each passing day. But that is only half the damage. While the task grows heavier, your self-trust erodes. Every time you tell yourself you will do something and then do not do it, you teach yourself that you cannot be trusted. You create evidence against yourself. And after enough evidence accumulates, you stop believing you are capable of change at all. This is why some people feel paralyzed by tasks that objectively are not that difficult. The task itself is not the problem. The accumulated weight of their own broken promises is the problem. There is a man named James Clear who wrote a book called Atomic Habits. In it, he makes a statement that rewired how millions of people think about behavior. He said, "Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become." Read that again. Every action is a vote. When you hit the snooze button, you cast a vote for being someone who prioritizes comfort over commitment. When you avoid the difficult conversation, you cast a vote for being someone who lets problems fester. When you wait until you feel ready, you cast a vote for being someone who never starts. These votes accumulate, and eventually, they form an identity. Here is what elite performers understand that everyone else misses. You do not become confident and then take action. You take action and confidence slowly follows. You do not become disciplined and then develop good habits. You build habits and discipline becomes a byproduct. You do not become successful and then start working hard. You work hard until success finds you. The sequence cannot be reversed. A study from the University of Pennsylvania tracked 5,000 students over 4 years. They measured two things: how confident students felt at the beginning and how successful they were at the end. The correlation was almost zero. Confidence at the start predicted almost nothing. What did predict success? Action density. How quickly students moved from thinking to doing. How many experiments they ran. How many failures they accumulated and learned from. The confident students who waited performed worse than the terrified students who acted. So what do you do with this information? First, you recognize the lie for what it is. Every time your brain whispers that you are not ready, you translate it accurately. That whisper does not mean wait. It means this is uncomfortable and your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort. That is all. The whisper is not wisdom. It is a warning system misfiring in a world it was not designed for. Second, you lower the threshold for action. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to feel confident. You do not even need to feel willing. You just need to move. Motion is the only requirement. Everything else is negotiable. Third, you understand that action is its own reward. Here is something nobody talks about. When you force yourself to act before feeling ready, you generate a chemical reward. Dopamine does not only release when you succeed, it releases when you start. The moment you move against resistance, your brain rewards you for courage, even if the outcome is uncertain. This is why people who act often feel more motivated afterward. They did not find motivation. They manufactured it through motion. The average person spends their life preparing to live. The elite performer lives while everyone else prepares. But here is the question that separates everything. If waiting until you feel ready is a trap, how do you force yourself to act when every cell in your body is screaming to wait? Here is a technique that works immediately. Lower your standards for starting. Not for finishing, for starting. Most people fail to act because they imagine the entire task. They see the full project, the complete workout, the finished manuscript. The gap between where they are and where they need to be feels overwhelming. Elite performers do not imagine the entire task. They imagine the first 60 seconds, just the opening, just the initiation, just the smallest possible beginning. You do not have to write the book. You just have to write the first sentence. You do not have to complete the workout. You just have to put on your shoes. You do not have to have the entire conversation. You just have to say the first word. This is not a trick. This is how action actually works. Average performers wait for certainty before starting. They want to know the whole path before taking the first step. Elite performers know that clarity comes from action, not from waiting. They start murky. They figure it out as they go. They trust that the path will reveal itself to those who are already walking. There is a technique. It takes 5 seconds. It was discovered by accident and validated by neuroscience. And in Chapter 3, you're going to learn exactly how it works. Chapter 3, the 5-second window. There is a war happening inside your skull, and you are losing. On one side is your limbic system, ancient, powerful, designed to keep you alive in a world that no longer exists. On the other side is your prefrontal cortex, modern, rational, capable of long-term planning that no other species can match. Every morning, these two systems fight. Every time you face a difficult task, they fight. Every time you consider doing something uncomfortable, they fight. And the limbic system has a massive advantage: speed. Neuroscientists at the National Institutes of Health discovered that the limbic system processes threats in approximately 150 milliseconds. Your prefrontal cortex, the part capable of overriding fear with reason, takes a full 500 milliseconds to engage. This is not a small difference. This is the difference between winning and losing every internal battle. In that gap, 350 milliseconds of chaos, your limbic system floods your body with hesitation. It manufactures excuses. It inflates risks. It whispers that maybe tomorrow would be better, maybe you should think about it more, maybe you are not ready. By the time your rational brain comes online, the negotiation has already begun. And once your brain starts negotiating, you lose. This is the 5-second window, and learning to exploit it changes everything. A woman named Mel Robbins discovered this by accident. She was at the lowest point of her life, unemployed, marriage failing, drowning in self-doubt. Every morning, she would hit the snooze button and lie in bed, knowing she needed to get up, knowing her life depended on changing, and being completely unable to do it. One night, watching television, she saw a rocket launch. The countdown stuck in her mind. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. Without understanding why, she decided to try something ridiculous. The next morning, when the alarm went off, she counted backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then she forced herself out of bed before her brain could intervene. It worked, not because counting is magical, but because counting occupies the prefrontal cortex just long enough to prevent the limbic system from taking control. By the time she reached 1, her rational brain was engaged, and her rational brain knew getting up was the right choice. She started using the technique everywhere, before difficult phone calls, before hard conversations, before anything her brain wanted to avoid. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, act. Her career transformed. Her marriage recovered, and she eventually shared this technique with millions. But here is what most people miss about the 5-second rule. It is not a motivation technique. It is a neurological hack. You are not psyching yourself up. You are short-circuiting a biological process that evolved to keep cave dwellers safe from predators. The countdown interrupts the fear response before it can fully form. Think about what happens when you hesitate. You face a task. Your limbic system detects discomfort and sends a warning signal. You pause. In that pause, your brain begins generating reasons to delay. Each second that passes, it generates more. Within 5 seconds, you have a complete story about why right now is not the right time. The 5-second rule prevents the story from forming. Dr. Nicole Lepera, a clinical psychologist who studied this phenomenon, explained it this way. The moment you hesitate is the moment you give your subconscious permission to take over. Your subconscious does not want you to grow. It wants you to survive. And in its ancient programming, survival means avoiding everything unfamiliar. When you count backward and act immediately, you never give permission. You stay in control. Let me be clear about something. This is not easy. The first time you use this technique, your brain will rebel. It will tell you the technique is stupid. It will tell you counting is childish. It will tell you that you need a better strategy, a more sophisticated approach. That voice is the limbic system trying to regain control. Ignore it. Average performers let their emotions dictate their actions. They wait until they feel like doing something. They wait until fear subsides. They wait until the moment feels right. And they wait forever. Elite performers do the opposite. They acknowledge the emotion, but they do not let it vote. They feel the fear and act within 5 seconds, before the fear can metastasize into paralysis. There is a Stanford study that illustrates this perfectly. Researchers gave participants a task they found extremely unpleasant. One group was told to wait until they felt ready to start. The other group was told to start immediately, regardless of how they felt. The first group procrastinated an average of 23 minutes before beginning. The second group started in under 60 seconds. But here is the fascinating part. When asked afterward how they felt about the task, both groups reported similar levels of discomfort. The second group did not feel less fear. They simply acted despite it. This is the secret nobody tells you about courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is motion in the presence of fear. It is starting before you are ready. It is speaking before you feel confident. It is moving before the moment feels right. And the 5-second window is your weapon. But the technique is useless if you only use it occasionally. The real power comes from applying it to the first decision of every single day. That first decision is more important than any other. It sets the trajectory. It determines whether you spend the day playing offense or defense. It predicts whether you will build momentum or squander it. And for most people, that first decision is the battle they lose before their feet even hit the floor. The alarm rings. The limbic system immediately responds. 5 more minutes. You deserve rest. It is cold outside the blankets. You can start tomorrow. And within seconds, you have surrendered the day before it began. This is why Chapter 4 focuses entirely on the moment of waking. Because if you cannot win the first battle, you will not win any of the ones that follow. But before we go there, let me give you something practical you can use immediately. The 5-second rule works in any situation where hesitation is your enemy. But here are the 3 most powerful applications. First, use it for task initiation. When you know you should start something but feel resistance, do not analyze the resistance. Count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the document. Pick up the phone. Begin typing. The analysis can come later. The starting must come now. Second, use it for courage moments. Before speaking up in a meeting, before having a difficult conversation, before asking for what you want, your brain will try to prepare you with more thinking. More thinking is just more hesitation in disguise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Speak. Third, use it for pattern interrupts. When you catch yourself scrolling mindlessly, when you reach for junk food, when you are about to hit snooze, the countdown creates a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap, you have choice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Choose differently. Average performers let the limbic system run the show. They feel hesitation and obey it. They feel resistance and surrender to it. They believe their feelings are reality. Elite performers know the truth. Feelings are suggestions, often bad suggestions from an outdated operating system. The 5-second rule lets you override the suggestion before it becomes a command. Try it today, not someday. Today. The next time you hesitate to do something you know you should do, count backward. Act at 1. See what happens. You will discover something remarkable. The action is almost never as difficult as the anticipation. The resistance was a bluff, and you just called it. Chapter 4, the Snooze Button Referendum. The first decision you make each day is a referendum on your identity. Most people do not realize this. They think the snooze button is just a harmless 9-minute delay. They are catastrophically wrong. When your alarm rings and you hit snooze, you are not just delaying waking up. You are casting a vote. You are telling yourself, and more importantly, showing yourself that comfort matters more than commitment, that temporary pleasure outweighs long-term progress, that you cannot be trusted to keep the promises you make to yourself. One vote does not decide an election, but thousands of votes do, and you cast this vote every single morning. Research from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine revealed something disturbing. People who regularly hit the snooze button were 47% more likely to procrastinate on important tasks throughout the day. Not because the extra sleep made them tired, because the pattern of avoidance followed them. Your morning sets your momentum, and momentum, once established, is difficult to reverse. Think about the psychology of what happens when you snooze. The night before, you set the alarm with intention. That was a promise, a commitment to your future self. You decided that a particular time was the time you needed to wake up to accomplish your goals. The alarm was not random. It was deliberate. Then morning arrives. Your limbic system activates. The bed is warm. The world is cold. And suddenly, that promise you made seems negotiable. Here is what the negotiation looks like. Your brain says, just 5 more minutes will not hurt. This is the first lie. Studies show that fragmented sleep in the morning is worse than no extra sleep at all. You are not gaining rest. You are gaining nothing while losing your word. Your brain says, you can make up the time. This is the second lie. You never make up the time. The tasks you plan for those stolen minutes simply do not happen. They get pushed, delayed, or forgotten entirely. Your brain says, this is not a big deal. This is the third and most dangerous lie, because it frames a fundamental character issue as trivial. And once you believe avoidance is trivial, you will avoid everything. Elite performers understand the snooze button differently. David Goggins, the former Navy SEAL who wrote Can't Hurt Me, describes the alarm as the first enemy of the day. He does not hit snooze, ever. Not because he wakes up energized, not because morning is easy for him, because he refuses to let the day start with a defeat. His philosophy is simple. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you negotiate with yourself about waking up, you will negotiate with yourself about working out, about eating well, about having difficult conversations, about doing the work that matters. The pattern of negotiation infects every domain. But here is what makes this even more important. Your subconscious is always watching. It is always collecting evidence about who you are. Every action you take, no matter how small, becomes a data point. And your subconscious uses those data points to construct your identity. When you hit snooze, you create evidence that you are someone who breaks commitments. When you get up immediately, you create evidence that you are someone who keeps them. This evidence accumulates, and eventually, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The person who hits snooze starts believing they are fundamentally undisciplined. The person who gets up immediately starts believing they are fundamentally capable. Beliefs drive behavior. Behavior reinforces belief. The cycle either builds you up or tears you down. There is a technique that elite performers use for this specific moment. They call it the launch sequence. Here's how it works. The night before, you set your alarm. But you do not just set the time. You set the intention. You visualize yourself hearing the alarm, immediately counting backward from 5, and physically moving your feet to the floor. You rehearse this in your mind. This is not wishful thinking. This is programming. A study from the University of Chicago found that mental rehearsal activates the same neural pathways as physical action. When you visualize getting up immediately, you are literally training your brain to execute that pattern. The morning moment becomes automatic rather than a battle. But visualization is only half the technique. The second half is environment design. You make getting up easier and staying in bed harder. You put your alarm across the room, so you have to physically stand up to turn it off. You set out your clothes the night before so there is no friction. You have water waiting to drink immediately. Elite performers do not rely on willpower in the morning. They design systems that make willpower unnecessary. Now here is the part that nobody wants to hear. If you cannot win the snooze button battle, nothing else in this audiobook matters. You can learn every technique, every framework, every strategy. But if you start each day with a loss, you start from a deficit that compounds throughout the hours that follow. The morning is not just a time of day. It is a statement about who you are. It is a referendum on your relationship with yourself. It is the moment where you decide whether today will be different or whether today will be more of the same. Average people lose this battle so consistently that they stop seeing it as a battle at all. They have surrendered so many times that surrender feels like the default. Elite performers fight this battle fiercely because they understand what is at stake. Not minutes of sleep. Identity. Trajectory. The entire shape of the day. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off, you have a choice. You can cast a vote for the person who negotiates, delays, and breaks promises. Or you can cast a vote for the person who moves before the negotiation can begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet on the floor. That single action, repeated daily, will do more for your life than any motivational video ever could. Because you will not be waiting for motivation. You will be building something far more powerful. You will be building proof. And in Chapter 5, we explore what happens when you stack these votes. How individual actions compound into an identity so strong that discipline becomes automatic and motivation becomes irrelevant. But let me leave you with one more insight before we move on. The snooze button battle is not really about sleep. It is about trust. Every time you tell yourself you will get up and then do not, you break a promise to yourself. Every broken promise erodes self-trust. And without self-trust, nothing you attempt will succeed. Think about it this way. If you had a friend who constantly broke their promises to you, would you trust them with anything important? Of course not. You would stop relying on them. You are that friend to yourself. Every snooze button hit teaches you that your own word means nothing, that your commitments are negotiable, that when things get uncomfortable, you will cave. Is it any wonder, then, that bigger goals feel impossible? You have trained yourself not to trust yourself. The evidence is overwhelming. But the reverse is also true. Every morning you honor your alarm, you rebuild trust. You prove that your word means something, that discomfort does not break you, that you can be relied upon. This trust becomes the foundation for everything else. When you attempt something difficult, a quiet voice says, "I can do this. I have evidence. I keep my promises." That voice is not motivation. It is earned confidence, and it only comes from one place: the battlefield of the morning. Chapter 5, Identity Votes. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. James Clear wrote that in Atomic Habits, and it contains more truth than most people are ready to accept. Because accepting it means accepting that your goals are not the problem. Your identity is. Let me explain what this means practically. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Not a single vote. Not a decisive vote. One small vote among many. But votes accumulate. And enough votes in one direction build an identity that becomes self-reinforcing. Think about someone you know who is consistently fit. They do not wake up every morning and debate whether to exercise. They do not need motivation. They do not negotiate with themselves about skipping a workout. Why? Because their identity is settled. They are a person who exercises. That is who they are. The question is not whether they will work out. The question is what kind of workout they will do. This is the power of identity-based behavior. When an action becomes part of who you are rather than something you do, the internal resistance disappears. But here is what most people get wrong. They try to change their identity through affirmation. They stand in front of mirrors and tell themselves they are confident. They write declarations about the person they want to be. They visualize success and hope the visualization transforms them. It does not work. Identity is not built by what you say. Identity is built by what you do. You cannot affirm your way to a new self-concept. You can only act your way there. A study from Northwestern University demonstrated this clearly. They took two groups of people trying to lose weight. The first group was taught visualization and affirmation techniques. They imagined themselves thin. They told themselves they were becoming healthy. The second group received no mental techniques at all. They were simply given small daily actions to complete. 6 months later, the second group had lost significantly more weight. Not because affirmation is useless, but because without action, affirmation is just noise. Here is the mechanism that makes this work. Every time you complete an action aligned with your desired identity, you generate evidence. Evidence that you are becoming the person you want to be. This evidence accumulates in your subconscious, slowly updating your self-concept. Eventually, you reach a tipping point. The evidence becomes overwhelming. Your brain can no longer deny the pattern, and your identity shifts. When your identity shifts, everything becomes easier. Average performers rely on motivation because their identity is in conflict with their goals. They want to be successful, but they see themselves as someone who struggles. They want to be disciplined, but they see themselves as someone who procrastinates. This internal conflict creates friction. Every positive action requires overcoming not just external resistance, but internal resistance too. Elite performers have aligned their identity with their goals. There is no friction, no internal debate. They are simply doing what someone like them does. But you cannot skip to this stage. You cannot decide to have a new identity and suddenly possess it. You must earn it through repetition. This is where the concept of identity votes becomes practical. Every morning, when you get up immediately instead of hitting snooze, you cast one vote for being a disciplined person. One vote. Small. Almost insignificant by itself. Every time you choose the hard conversation over avoidance, you cast one vote for being a courageous person. Every time you start a task before feeling ready, you cast one vote for being someone who takes action. These votes seem trivial in the moment, but they are not trivial over time. Here is the math that matters. If you cast 5 positive identity votes per day, you cast 35 per week, 1,820 per year. In 5 years, you have cast over 9,000 votes for the person you want to become. 9,000 pieces of evidence that you are disciplined. 9,000 pieces of evidence that you are capable. 9,000 pieces of evidence that you follow through. Against that mountain of evidence, your old identity does not stand a chance. But the opposite is also true. Every time you hit snooze, you cast a vote for being someone who negotiates with commitments. Every time you wait until you feel ready, you cast a vote for being someone who lets fear decide. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you cast a vote for stagnation. These negative votes also accumulate, and eventually, they form an identity so entrenched that change feels impossible. This is why some people feel stuck forever. It is not lack of knowledge. It is not lack of opportunity. It is a subconscious identity built through thousands of tiny actions that makes growth feel fundamentally incompatible with who they are. The good news is that identity is never permanent. The same process that built the wrong identity can build the right one, but it requires understanding something critical. You cannot change your identity by thinking differently. You change your identity by acting differently, repeatedly, consistently, until the new pattern becomes the new normal. There is a practical framework that makes this actionable. First, decide who you want to become, not what you want to achieve, who you want to be. There is a difference. Goals are outcomes. Identity is character. Instead of saying you want to lose weight, say you want to become someone who prioritizes health. Instead of saying you want to write a book, say you want to become a writer. Instead of saying you want to be successful, say you want to become someone who executes regardless of how they feel. Second, identify the smallest action that person would take. If you want to become a writer, the smallest action is writing one sentence. If you want to become someone who exercises, the smallest action is putting on your workout clothes. If you want to become a person who acts despite fear, the smallest action is starting one task immediately after you think of it. Third, repeat that action until it feels automatic. Fourth, raise the threshold slightly and repeat. This is how identity transforms, not through dramatic moments, through accumulated evidence, through votes cast day after day until the election is no longer in doubt. The person you are today is the result of the votes you have cast until now. The person you will be in 5 years is the result of the votes you will cast from this moment forward. Every choice is a ballot. Every action is a vote. The question is not whether you will vote. You vote constantly, whether you recognize it or not. The question is whether you will vote deliberately. In Chapter 6, we address the enemy that stops most people from casting positive votes. The enemy that shows up uninvited and convinces you that waiting is wisdom and hesitation is intelligence. That enemy is fear, and you have been misunderstanding it your entire life. But before we tackle fear, Let me give you a practical tool for tracking your identity votes. Get a small notebook or open a note on your phone. At the end of each day, write down 3 identity votes you cast. Not your accomplishments, your votes. The small decisions that defined who you were that day. Did you get up when the alarm rang? Vote for discipline. Did you choose the salad over the burger? Vote for health. Did you start the project before you felt ready? Vote for action. Did you speak up when it was uncomfortable? Vote for courage. Also write down any negative votes. Be honest. Did you hit snooze? Did you avoid the conversation? Did you scroll instead of working? This tracking serves 2 purposes. First, it makes the invisible visible. Most votes happen unconsciously. You do not notice them. By writing them down, you force awareness. Awareness is the first step to change. Second, it creates accountability. When you know you will review your votes tonight, you make different decisions today. The future observer changes the present actor. Average performers are unconscious about their daily decisions. They drift through the day on autopilot, wondering why nothing changes. Elite performers are hyper-aware. They know that every decision is a vote. They choose deliberately. They accumulate evidence intentionally. The gap between these 2 approaches, over a year, over 5 years, over a lifetime, is the gap between staying stuck and transforming completely. Start tracking tonight. See what patterns emerge. You may be surprised by how many votes you are casting against yourself without realizing it. Chapter 6. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. This is not a motivational slogan. This is a navigational truth. Fear marks the boundary between who you are and who you could become. And every time you let fear stop you, you stay trapped on the wrong side of that boundary. But here is what nobody taught you. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal. It is information, not instruction. And when you learn to read that signal correctly, fear transforms from an obstacle into a compass. Neuroscientists at New York University conducted experiments that changed how we understand fear. They discovered that the amygdala, the brain structure responsible for fear responses, does not distinguish between physical danger and psychological discomfort. Public speaking triggers the same neural pathways as encountering a predator. This is a bug in your operating system. Your brain evolved in an environment where most threats were physical. Saber-toothed tigers, hostile tribes, starvation. In that world, fear served a clear purpose. Keep the organism alive long enough to reproduce. But you do not live in that world. In the modern world, the things that trigger fear are almost never life-threatening. They are ego-threatening, rejection, failure, embarrassment, looking foolish. These feel dangerous to your brain, but they cannot actually harm you. Here is the distinction that changes everything. When you feel fear before a difficult conversation, that fear is not warning you about danger. It is warning you about growth. Growth requires leaving the familiar. Leaving the familiar feels like death to the limbic system. So it screams. But the scream is a false alarm. Elite performers have learned to decode this signal. When they feel fear before an important action, they do not interpret it as a reason to stop. They interpret it as evidence that the action matters. Fear is the tax on growth. It is the admission price to becoming more than you currently are. Consider this reframe. If you are about to do something and you feel no fear at all, one of 2 things is true. Either the action is trivial and will not move your life forward, or you have done it so many times that it no longer stretches you. Fear, in this sense, is a compass pointing toward exactly what you need to do. A study from Harvard Business School interviewed 500 executives about their most significant career decisions. 83% said their best decisions were accompanied by significant fear at the time, not confidence. Fear. The correlation was striking. The decisions that created the most success were also the decisions that felt the most terrifying. This makes logical sense when you think about it. Easy decisions do not separate you from the competition. Everyone takes the easy path. What creates exceptional results is the willingness to take action that most people avoid because it is uncomfortable. Average performers let fear filter their options. They only pursue what feels safe. As a result, they compete in crowded spaces where everyone else feels safe too. The opportunities are picked over. The advantages are minimal. Elite performers use fear as a filter differently. They look for the options that scare them, because those are the options everyone else is avoiding. Less competition, more opportunity, higher potential returns. This is counterintuitive, but mathematically true. But understanding fear intellectually is not the same as handling it practically. Knowing that fear is a signal does not make the signal less loud. So here is the technique that elite performers use. They call it fear rehearsal, and it was used by ancient Stoic philosophers 2,000 years before modern psychology confirmed its effectiveness. The practice works like this. Before taking an action you fear, you do not try to eliminate the fear. You do not try to feel confident. Instead, you deliberately imagine the worst possible outcome. You sit with that outcome. You ask yourself, if this happened, what would I do next? Here's why this works. Fear is almost always fear of the unknown. Your brain catastrophizes because it cannot see the full picture. When you force yourself to explicitly imagine the worst case, you bring the unknown into focus. You realize that even the worst case is survivable. Often, you realize the worst case is not even that bad. Tim Ferriss, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek, popularized this as fear setting. He writes down 3 columns. What is the worst that could happen? What could you do to prevent it? And what could you do to repair it if it happened? The exercise usually takes 10 minutes, but it collapses weeks of anxious avoidance into clarity. What you discover, almost every time, is that the worst case you fear is far less terrible than the default outcome of doing nothing. Fear distorts proportions. It makes a potentially bad outcome seem worse than the guaranteed stagnation of an action. But here is the deeper truth about fear that most people never grasp. Fear does not go away with experience. Elite performers do not feel less fear than you. They have simply learned that fear and action can coexist. You have been taught that courage means feeling confident. It does not. Courage means acting despite feeling terrified. It means speaking when your voice shakes, starting when your hands tremble, moving forward when every instinct screams to retreat. This is the definition that separates those who achieve from those who dream. Fear will always be present when you pursue anything meaningful. The question is not whether you will feel fear. The question is whether you will act anyway. There is an analogy that makes this concrete. Imagine driving at night on an unfamiliar road. Your headlights illuminate only a small section ahead, maybe 50 meters. Beyond that, darkness, unknown terrain. If you waited until you could see the entire road clearly, you would never move. You would sit there until sunrise, paralyzed by what you could not see. But you do not wait. You drive forward with the limited visibility you have. And as you move, the headlights reveal the next section, then the next. Step by step, you navigate terrain that seemed impossible from a standstill. This is exactly how fear works. You cannot see the full path forward. You never will, but you do not need to. You only need to see far enough to take the next step. And when you take that step, the next section illuminates. Motion creates clarity. Waiting creates more fog. Here is a practice that will change how you relate to fear permanently. Every week, ask yourself this question. What would I do this week if I were not afraid? Write down the answer. Be specific. The conversation you would have, the request you would make, the project you would start, the boundary you would set. Then do one of those things. Just one, not all of them. 1. This practice has 3 effects. First, it reveals how much fear is controlling your life. Most people do not realize how many decisions are fear-driven until they explicitly name the alternative. Second, it builds evidence that fear can be overcome. Each week you act despite fear. You create proof that you are capable. This proof accumulates into confidence. Third, it expands your comfort zone permanently. The thing that terrified you this week becomes normal next month. Your baseline capability increases. Average performers let fear set the boundaries of their life. They live inside a shrinking circle, never testing the edges, never discovering what they are actually capable of. Elite performers continuously push against the boundaries. They use fear as a guide, pointing toward exactly where they need to grow. They understand that a life without fear is a life without expansion. The people who accomplish remarkable things are not people who felt ready. They are people who drove into darkness trusting that the path would reveal itself. They felt the same fear you feel. They had the same uncertainty. They just refused to let the signal become a stop sign. In Chapter 7, we turn fear into fuel through a specific mechanism. The mechanism of motion creating emotion. Because once you understand this reversal, you will never wait for motivation again. Chapter 7. Motion creates emotion. You have been told that feelings come first, that you need to feel motivated before you can act motivated, that you need to feel confident before you can perform confidently, that you need to feel ready before you can start. This sequence is backwards, and believing it is costing you everything. Here is the truth that neuroscience has confirmed, but nobody wants to hear. Motion creates emotion, not the other way around. You do not find energy to exercise. You exercise to find energy. You do not wait until you feel confident to speak up. You speak up until confidence finds you. You do not delay action until motivation arrives. You take action and motivation follows behind, confused but obedient. This is not philosophy. This is neurobiology. When you take physical action, your brain releases a cascade of neurochemicals. Dopamine rewards the initiation of movement. Norepinephrine increases alertness and focus. Endorphins reduce discomfort and create a sense of capability. These chemicals literally change how you feel. A study from the University of British Columbia demonstrated this mechanism clearly. Participants were divided into two groups. The first group was told to wait until they felt motivated to exercise, then begin. The second group was told to exercise for just 5 minutes regardless of how they felt. The second group exercised an average of 3 times more frequently. Not because they were more disciplined, because they understood the correct sequence. Those 5 minutes of motion, even unwilling motion, generated enough neurochemical change to make continuing feel natural. The motivation they were waiting for arrived after they started, not before. This is the secret that elite performers discovered and average performers never learn. Feelings follow behavior. Behavior does not follow feelings. If you wait for the feeling, you will wait forever. If you create the behavior, the feeling will catch up. Let me give you a practical example. Think about the last time you dreaded doing something, did it anyway, and then felt good afterward. Maybe it was a workout. Maybe it was a difficult conversation. Maybe it was starting a project you had been avoiding. The feeling of dread before the action and the feeling of satisfaction after were completely different. The action itself was the bridge between them. You did not feel good and then act. You acted and then felt good. This pattern repeats in every domain of life, yet most people ignore it. They trust their feelings as predictive. They believe that how they feel before an action indicates how they will feel during and after. This belief is demonstrably false. Average performers make decisions based on current emotional state. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel unmotivated, they wait. If they feel anxious, they avoid. Their behavior is a slave to their feelings. Elite performers make decisions based on desired outcome, then trust that emotions will adjust. They move when tired, act when unmotivated, engage when anxious. They treat current feelings as irrelevant data about a state that is about to change. Here is the mechanism that makes this possible. Your brain is constantly predicting. It forecasts how actions will feel before you take them. But these predictions are based on past patterns, not present reality. If you have historically felt tired during workouts, your brain predicts you will feel tired before you start. This prediction becomes the feeling of not wanting to exercise. But the prediction is often wrong. Once you actually start exercising, the reality frequently differs from the forecast. Energy appears. Resistance fades. The workout you dreaded becomes the workout you needed. By acting first, you override the prediction. You force your brain to update its model based on current experience rather than past assumptions. This is why the 5-second rule from Chapter 3 is so powerful. It interrupts the prediction before you have time to believe it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 move. The movement generates new data. The new data changes how you feel. But there is a deeper application of this principle. If motion creates emotion, then you can engineer your emotional state through deliberate action. Feeling fearful before a presentation? Do not try to calm down. Instead, move. Pace backstage. Do jumping jacks. Physical motion burns off the cortisol that fear produces. You cannot be physically active and paralyzed with fear simultaneously. Feeling unmotivated before a work session? Do not try to find inspiration. Instead, start typing. Write anything. Garbage. Nonsense. It does not matter. The physical act of typing engages neural circuits that make continuing easier than stopping. Feeling depressed or lethargic? Do not try to think your way to feeling better. Instead, change your physiology. Stand up. Walk outside. Change your environment. Depression feeds on stillness. Movement breaks the feedback loop. This is not about ignoring emotions. Emotions are data, but they are not instructions. You can acknowledge feeling unmotivated while simultaneously taking action. The two are not mutually exclusive. Elite performers hold both truths simultaneously. They feel the resistance and move anyway. They acknowledge the discomfort and continue regardless. They do not pretend to feel different. They simply refuse to let feeling dictate behavior. Here is a framework that makes this practical. When you face an action you are resisting, ask yourself one question. What is the smallest physical motion that would begin this task? Not what is the smallest step to complete it. What is the smallest motion to begin it? If you need to write, the smallest motion is opening the document. Not writing a page, opening the document. If you need to exercise, the smallest motion is putting on your shoes. Not completing the workout, putting on the shoes. If you need to make a difficult call, the smallest motion is picking up the phone. Not having the conversation, picking up the phone. These micro motions seem trivial. They are not. They are the ignition sequence. Once motion begins, continuation becomes easier than stopping. Inertia works in your favor instead of against you. The psychology term for this is the Zeigarnik effect. Once you start something, your brain develops a compulsion to complete it. Unfinished tasks create mental tension. This tension, uncomfortable as it is, drives you forward. But you have to start first. This is the final piece of the motivation myth that needs to die. You have been waiting for a feeling to initiate action. The feeling was always going to come after. You had the sequence reversed. You were standing at the finish line waiting for the starting gun. Motion creates emotion. Action generates motivation. Movement manufactures confidence. Stop waiting. Start moving. Let the feelings catch up. Here is one more technique that elite performers use to weaponize this principle. They call it the 2-minute rule. If an action takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. No scheduling. No adding to the list. No waiting until you feel like it. Just do it. This rule works because of everything we discussed. 2 minutes of motion generates momentum. The neurochemical cascade begins, and tasks that seem burdensome before the 2 minutes feel manageable after. Average performers optimize their to-do lists. They organize tasks by priority, by context, by energy level. They spend more time managing work than doing work. Elite performers bias toward immediate action. They do the small things instantly, clearing mental bandwidth for the large things. They understand that a completed 2-minute task is infinitely more valuable than a perfectly categorized list. Try this tomorrow. Every time you think of something that takes less than 2 minutes, do it right then. Do not write it down. Do not plan to do it later. Just do it. You will be amazed at how much you accomplish, and you will notice something else. The momentum from those small completions will make the larger tasks feel less daunting. Motion in one area creates energy in all areas. This is not time management. This is energy management. And energy comes from motion, not from waiting for the right moment. In Chapter 8, we explore what happens when you consistently apply this principle, the compound effect of daily execution, and why most people dramatically underestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 day. Chapter 8, the compound effect of daily execution. Here is the math that will change how you see time. If you improve by just 1% every day, in 1 year you will be 37 times better than when you started. Not 37% better, 37 times better. This is not motivational exaggeration. This is exponential mathematics. 1% daily improvement compounded over 365 days equals 1.01 to the power of 365. The result is 37.78. But here is the number nobody talks about. If you decline by just 1% every day, in 1 year you will be reduced to 0.03 of where you started. 3% of your current capability. Virtually zero. Small daily choices compound in both directions. Up or down, building or eroding. There is no neutral. This is why daily execution matters more than any single breakthrough. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are rarely the most talented or the most intelligent. They are the most consistent. They show up when others do not. They execute when others negotiate. Day after day after day. Average performers look for transformation through dramatic moments. They want the one insight that changes everything. The one opportunity that rockets them forward. The one breakthrough that makes all the struggle worthwhile. These moments occasionally happen, but they are not reliable. And waiting for them is a losing strategy. Elite performers understand that transformation is not an event. It is a process. It happens through accumulated daily actions so small that they seem insignificant in the moment. But these actions compound, and compounding is the most powerful force in the universe. Warren Buffett did not become wealthy through one brilliant investment. He became wealthy through consistent returns over 70 years of compounding. The secret was not genius. The secret was time multiplied by consistency. Your life operates the same way. Here is what makes daily execution so difficult to maintain. In the short term, the benefits of action and the costs of inaction are nearly invisible. If you skip a workout today, you will not notice any difference tomorrow. If you avoid a difficult conversation, life continues unchanged. If you hit the snooze button, the day proceeds normally. This invisibility creates a dangerous illusion. The illusion that individual days do not matter. That you can always start tomorrow. That the compound effect only applies to money, not to behavior. But every skipped workout is a vote for being out of shape. Every avoided conversation is a vote for relationships that stagnate. Every snoozed alarm is a vote for being someone who cannot be trusted. And those votes compound just like the positive ones. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is almost never one big leap. It is 10,000 small steps that you either took or did not take. 10,000 daily decisions that either built you up or tore you down. Here is a framework that makes the compound effect practical. Instead of focusing on outcomes, focus on what James Clear calls your minimum viable effort. The smallest action that, if done daily, would move you toward your goal. For fitness, this might be 10 minutes of movement, not an hour, 10 minutes. For writing, this might be 200 words, not a chapter, 200 words. For learning, this might be reading 10 pages, not a book, 10 pages. The number needs to be small enough that you can do it even on your worst day, even when you are sick, even when you are traveling, even when everything in your life is chaos. Because the power of compounding requires consistency. Inconsistency breaks the chain, and once the chain breaks, you lose the accumulated momentum. There is a psychological phenomenon called the fresh start effect. Researchers found that people are more likely to pursue goals after temporal landmarks, dates that feel like new beginnings. New Year's Day, birthdays, Mondays. But here's the problem. Fresh starts feel good because they let you believe that you can escape your past patterns, that the new version of you will be different. That this time, consistency will be easy. It will not be easy, and the fresh start feeling fades quickly, usually within 2 weeks. Elite performers do not rely on fresh starts. They rely on systems that make execution automatic. They design their environment to remove friction. They create accountability structures that outlast motivation. They build habits so ingrained that skipping feels harder than doing. This is the real secret. You cannot rely on willpower for daily execution. Willpower is a depleting resource. Every decision you make throughout the day drains it. By evening, most people have nothing left. This is why New Year's resolutions fail by February. But you can rely on systems. Systems that put the desired behavior in your path. Systems that make the wrong choice harder than the right choice. Systems that transform execution from a decision into a default. Let me give you a concrete example. If you want to read more, do not rely on willpower to pick up a book every night. Instead, put the book on your pillow. Every night when you go to bed, it is there. You either have to read it or move it. Moving it requires effort. Reading a page or two requires less effort. This is environment design. You are not fighting yourself. You are engineering the path of least resistance to point toward your goal. The same principle applies everywhere. If you want to exercise in the morning, sleep in your workout clothes. The friction of changing is removed. If you want to eat better, do not keep junk food in the house. The friction of unhealthy choices is increased. If you want to focus on deep work, delete social media apps from your phone. The friction of distraction is elevated. These changes seem trivial. They are not. They are the difference between relying on a depleting resource called willpower and building a system that makes willpower unnecessary. The compound effect requires consistency. Consistency requires systems. Systems require strategic design. Average performers believe success requires enormous effort on critical days. Elite performers believe success requires small effort on every day. Both beliefs are self-fulfilling, but only one leads to sustainable results. Let me give you a concrete framework for harnessing compound effects. It is called the 1% Journal. Every night, you answer one question. What did I do today that was 1% better than yesterday? The answer does not have to be dramatic. One more minute of exercise, one more page read, one more difficult conversation had, one more moment of discipline. The magic is in the consistency of asking, not the magnitude of the answer. When you track these tiny improvements, 3 things happen. First, you build awareness. You start noticing opportunities to be slightly better that you would have missed before. The question primes your brain to look for improvement. Second, you build momentum. Each logged improvement becomes evidence that you are the type of person who improves. The identity shifts. The behavior follows. Third, you build a record. After 30 days, you have 30 improvements documented. After a year, 365. This record becomes undeniable proof that you are not the same person you were. Average performers focus on giant leaps. They want the breakthrough, the shortcut, the hack that changes everything overnight. When it does not come, they lose hope. Elite performers focus on tiny gains. They know that giant leaps are rare and unreliable. Tiny gains are available every day, and tiny gains, compounded, create results that giant leaps never could. Here is the math restated so it penetrates. 365 days of 1% improvement equals 37 times growth. 365 days of waiting for a breakthrough equals exactly where you started. Which path will you choose? Here is the question that separates the two. What would happen if you executed your minimum viable effort every single day for the next 5 years? Not your maximum effort, your minimum. The smallest version of the habit that you could maintain regardless of circumstances. The math says you would be unrecognizable. In Chapter 9, we address the final enemy standing between you and consistent execution. The enemy that convinces you that temporary relief is worth permanent regret. That enemy is comfort, and you have been underestimating its danger. Chapter 9. Comfort is a sedative. Comfort is not a reward. Comfort is a trap. You have been taught that comfort is what you earn after hard work, that it is the destination at the end of the journey, that successful people arrive at comfort and stay there. This is a dangerous misunderstanding. Comfort is a sedative. It numbs your ambition. It quiets your potential. It convinces you that where you are is good enough, when good enough is nowhere close to what you are capable of. Every day you choose comfort over growth, you get a little weaker. Not dramatically weaker, just slightly, imperceptibly, but the weakness compounds. Here is the biology that makes this true. Your body operates on a principle called homeostasis. It seeks equilibrium. When you push yourself physically, your muscles experience micro tears. The body repairs these tears by building stronger tissue. But if you stop pushing, there is no damage to repair. The muscles atrophy. You lose what you built. Your mind works the same way. When you challenge yourself mentally, you form new neural pathways. You expand your capability. But if you stop challenging yourself, those pathways weaken. The brain prunes what it does not use. You become less than you were. This is not a metaphor. This is physiology. Comfort signals to your body that adaptation is unnecessary, that survival is assured. that the current version of you is sufficient for the environment you face. But the world does not stay constant. Competition increases. Technology advances. Standards rise. The version of you that was sufficient last year may be inadequate next year. When you choose comfort, you are not standing still. You are falling behind. Average performers view comfort as a goal. They work hard so they can eventually relax. They push so they can eventually stop pushing. They sacrifice now to be comfortable later. Elite performers view comfort as a warning sign. When life feels too easy, something is wrong. Either the challenges are too small, or the effort is insufficient, or the standards are too low. Comfort means stagnation, and stagnation is the first step toward irrelevance. Here is the psychological mechanism that makes comfort so dangerous. When you experience comfort, your brain releases chemicals that reduce anxiety and increase satisfaction. This feels good. Your brain then seeks to replicate this state. It starts optimizing for comfort rather than growth. This optimization happens subconsciously. You do not decide to become comfort-seeking. You just gradually arrange your life to minimize discomfort. You avoid the difficult conversations. You skip the challenging projects. You stay in the familiar environment. Each avoidance feels like wisdom in the moment. You tell yourself you are being strategic, preserving energy, waiting for the right opportunity. But avoidance is not strategy. Avoidance is surrender disguised as patience. There is a concept in psychology called the hedonic treadmill. It explains why increased comfort does not lead to increased happiness. As your circumstances improve, your expectations adjust. The comfort that felt rewarding last year feels normal this year. You need more comfort to feel the same satisfaction. This creates an endless chase. More comfort, higher expectations, more comfort required. You can never arrive because the destination keeps moving. But here is what the hedonic treadmill does not tell you. Challenge creates a different pattern. When you push beyond your comfort zone and succeed, you experience a type of satisfaction that does not adapt away. Psychologists call it eudaimonic well-being, the deep fulfillment that comes from growth and purpose. This type of well-being does not fade. It compounds. Every challenge you overcome builds evidence that you are capable. This evidence creates confidence. Confidence opens new possibilities. New possibilities create new challenges. The cycle feeds itself. Comfort breaks this cycle. It removes the challenges that generate eudaimonic well-being. It substitutes the deep satisfaction of growth with the shallow pleasure of ease. And here is the cruel irony. The person who constantly seeks comfort eventually becomes unable to handle discomfort. Their tolerance atrophies. Small challenges feel overwhelming. Minor setbacks feel catastrophic. They have traded away their resilience for a temporary sense of ease. Elite performers deliberately introduce discomfort into their lives, not because they enjoy suffering, because they understand that capability is a muscle. It must be exercised to be maintained. Cold showers, early mornings, difficult conversations, voluntary hardship. These are not punishments. They are training. They keep the tolerance high. They prevent the decay that comfort creates. David Goggins describes this as callousing the mind. Just as repeated friction calluses the hands, repeated discomfort calluses the psyche. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once felt manageable becomes easy. But you cannot develop calluses while wearing gloves. Here is the practical framework for escaping the comfort trap. First, audit your defaults. What choices do you make automatically? What actions do you avoid without consciously deciding to avoid them? These defaults reveal where comfort has captured territory. Second, introduce deliberate discomfort, not random suffering. Targeted challenge in areas that matter. If you avoid public speaking, volunteer to present. If you avoid physical exertion, schedule workouts that push beyond your current capacity. If you avoid difficult feedback, seek it out. Third, reframe discomfort as data. When something feels uncomfortable, your brain wants to interpret this as bad. Reject that interpretation. Discomfort means you are at the edge of your current capability. The edge is where growth happens. Fourth, never let comfort become the default. After achieving a goal, do not rest in the achievement. Set a new goal. After mastering a skill, do not stop practicing. Expand the skill. Success is not a destination. It is a direction. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are not people who found a way to avoid discomfort. They are people who learn to embrace it, to seek it, to recognize it as the price of becoming more than they currently are. Comfort whispers that you have done enough, that you deserve to rest, that the struggle can stop now. Comfort is lying. Here is one final technique for breaking comfort's grip. It is called the discomfort quota. Every day, you commit to doing one thing that makes you uncomfortable. Just one. It can be small. A cold shower, a difficult email, a request you have been avoiding, an early alarm. The specific action matters less than the principle. You are training yourself to move toward discomfort rather than away from it. You are building the muscle that most people let atrophy. Track your discomfort quota alongside your identity votes. At the end of each day, note what uncomfortable action you took. If you cannot think of one, that is information. It means comfort captured the day. Average performers minimize discomfort. They engineer their lives to avoid it entirely, and they wonder why growth stops. Elite performers optimize for productive discomfort. They know that the sensation of discomfort is the sensation of becoming. They welcome it. They seek it. They understand that avoiding discomfort is the same as avoiding growth. The difference in outcomes between these two approaches over a lifetime is the difference between a life lived fully and a life wasted in the warm embrace of mediocrity. Which life will you choose? In the final chapter, we bring together everything you have learned. The synthesis of motion, identity, fear, and execution into a single system you can deploy for the rest of your life. Because knowledge without application is just entertainment. And you did not listen to this audiobook to be entertained. Chapter 10. Execute without motivation. You now know more about execution than 99% of people will ever learn. You understand that motivation is a lie, that waiting to feel ready is a trap, that fear is a signal, not a stop sign, that motion creates emotion, that identity is built through accumulated votes. But knowledge without action is worthless. The gap between knowing and doing is where most people live. And it is where most people die without ever closing it. So let me give you a system, not philosophy, a system you can implement tomorrow. Component 1, the night before protocol. Before sleep, decide what time you will wake up. Place your alarm across the room. Visualize yourself hearing it, counting backward from 5, and your feet hitting the floor before negotiation begins. Lay out your clothes. Write down your first task. Remove every piece of friction. Component 2, the first 60 seconds. When the alarm sounds, do not think. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet on the floor. Stand up. Walk to the alarm. Turn it off. No phone. No email. No input. Win that first minute and you have momentum. Component 3, the identity vote. Before anything else, complete one action that votes for the person you want to become. If you want to be a writer, write 200 words. If you want to be fit, move for 10 minutes. This happens before the world intervenes, before emails, before other people's agendas. Component 4, the fear inventory. Once per week, ask yourself, what am I avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? Write the answer. Schedule the action for a specific day and time. Fear thrives in ambiguity. When you name it and schedule it, you drain its power. Component 5, the evening audit. Before sleep, answer 3 questions. What vote did I cast for my future self today? What did I avoid that I should have confronted? What will I do differently tomorrow? This takes 2 minutes, but creates a feedback loop that prevents weeks from vanishing into autopilot. These 5 components take less than 30 minutes daily, but they replace the need for motivation entirely. The first week will be difficult. Your brain will resist. By the second week, the resistance fades. By the 4th week, something shifts. You realize you have cast more identity votes in 30 days than in the previous year. By the end of 1 year, you will be unrecognizable. Not because you found a secret, because you did what almost nobody does. You showed up, every day, regardless of how you felt. A year from now, you will arrive somewhere. Either the same place with the same frustrations and unrealized potential, or somewhere entirely different, transformed, proud of who you have become. The only variable is what you do in the days between now and then. Millions have walked this path before you. They felt the same resistance. They faced the same fears. They had the same brain chemistry begging them to stay comfortable. And they moved anyway. You can be one of them. Not through talent, not through luck, through the simple, daily discipline of moving before you feel ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your life is waiting. Do not let it wait any longer.